Welcome back to the FTN College Basketball Betting Show. I'm your host, Mike Randle. Follow me on Twitter at RandleRand. And folks, thank you for joining us on back-to-back and a belly-to-belly days here in the college basketball universe, where we get you ready for all the college basketball action with a myriad of picks, and we go through volume, folks. That's what we want. There's so many games you asked me about that I may not have a lean on, but I want to cover them and give you my thoughts. Make sure to get the like, the subscribe button, get in the chat, talk to us so we can get back here and give you actionable information that you can use to make your decisions. Now, last night we ended scalding hot, and it's been a fantastic year so far. Always a battle going up and down. I understand that, but there are some great opportunities that we get that we can take advantage of and do very well. So far in the year, things are going extremely well. We're 56.1% this year, up 37.73 units, and there was some great action on last night's game. Second half wagering opportunities that we could take advantage of. Air Force, of course, trailing a little bit there against Wyoming, but a big second half when they closed it at the end and were able to move forward. We also were huge fans of Iowa State because the disrespect that the market has to Iowa State continues, and we took advantage. Texas got up early. They were ready. This was a big game for them. They knew they needed it. Iowa State just started chipping away. And once they got that game back to about 1 point at halftime, there was no doubt in my mind that in the second half, you're not going to have Texas, who again does not have an identity, which is going to be our theme today. They're not going to win over Hilton Magic there in the second half. So a lot of great action in the second half that we were able to do. Let's get to the games, folks. Again, put your questions and comments in the chat there. We are coming 3 times a week for you. We are bringing you the college basketball action here 3 times a week. Today, we're going Tuesday. We went Wednesday today, and then Saturday is always a staple for us. 11 a.m. Saturday mornings. Make sure to join us. Here we go. First game we'll go with is Army and Bucknell. Now, this is a momentum play here, folks, and there's momentum that's working in both ways throughout this slate, so I want to talk about it. Army, 9-8 against the spread, but they have covered 5 straight games. Second place in the Patriot League. They're just 1 game behind Colgate, who they narrowly lost to a little bit ago by 2 points at home. Now, you want to argue this is a look-ahead spot from Army to Navy. Be my guest. But Bucknell has lost 8 straight games. They are 6-11-1 against the spread, and they did not cover for 9 straight games until they just covered against Colgate. You're going to say they turned a corner, that playing Colgate now and going on the road against Army is going to keep them going? I don't think so. Jalen Rucker has been fantastic for Army. He has 21 points or more in 4 of the last 5. So this one, to me, first game right off the bat, we are going with Army laying 5.5 against Bucknell. Army's been playing great basketball. They're disciplined. They're playing well at home. Bucknell just won against Colgate. Now they got to come up and play Army. Rucker has been scalding hot. Only argument against this pick is the look ahead. I'm fine with it. If this game was at Bucknell, maybe I'd be a little bit nervous, but it's home. We're going with Army in game 1. Game 2, UMBC versus UMass Lowell. UMass Lowell was a team at the beginning of the year that was very, very hot and was getting a lot of press there. But if you look at what's gone on lately, UMBC is playing very well, and UMass Lowell is starting to come back to the pack a little bit. UMBC started 3-4. They are now 13-6 overall, which means they only had 2 losses in that time. They've won 10 games, and they have 2 losses. A loss to Maryland away and a loss to Vermont at home. 2 tough battles. But coming into this game, they beat Albany home, Bryan away, not easy by 8 points, comfortable win. Maine, not easy at home by 8, and Hartford. UMass Lowell going the other direction. After a scalding hot start where they're 11-1, and UMass Lowell is the number 1 team in the country at defending inside the arc. Since then, they lost to Rhode Island away, and they've struggled to cover. They didn't cover Maine at home. They didn't cover NJIT away. They didn't cover Albany at home. They lost at home to Albany by 26 points outright. Vermont home, they did beat them by 15, big game, but then the letdown against Binghamton away, lost by 1. So I think these are 2 teams going in completely opposite directions, and I like UMBC getting 4.5. This was 5.5. I got it myself at 5.5 last night. It's now down to 4.5. This is the momentum play. UMass Lowell can struggle on offense. They're great on defense. If you want to look at the under, I'm fine with that as well. But I'm taking UMBC. There still may be a 5 out there. They're playing very well. I've been impressed with what they've done. I did not like them early in the year. But again, this is a Bayesian process. It's fluid. We have to take in new information, and we are going there. Seton Hall, UConn. The hate for UConn has almost gone too far at this point. Connecticut is still a very solid team, and they're going to be physical inside, and they're going to battle. They're going on the road here. Connecticut now 4-4 after being the dominant team in the Big East earlier in the year. Now they've fallen back. They've lost 4 of their last 5. They did beat Creighton at home, but they lost to Xavier away, tough game. Providence away, tough game. Marquette away, also a tough game. And St. John's at home. I think this is a right-to-ship spot. They are still top 5 in the country at defending three-pointers. They're still top 10 in defense, and they are fantastic on the offensive boards. This is a Seton Hall Pirates team that can struggle on offense. It's a Seton Hall Pirates team that barely beat DePaul away, that played Georgetown away, and Butler. They have not played great opponents. The caliber of opponents that they've gotten right against Seton Hall has not been that high. In fact, the last time I was impressed with a real big Seton Hall performance would have been the win away at Rutgers on Sunday, December 11th, but that's a rivalry game. Providence home, they lost by 4. Xavier away, they lost by 3. Marquette, they got blown out away by 14. Don't like this spot. I like Connecticut. I think Danny Hurley's going to get it right. I think Connecticut needs a win against a Seton Hall team that, yes, under Shaheen Holloway, who came over from St. Peter's, they've been great defensively, but they have struggled on offense, only 67% from the foul line, and terrible on turnovers here. So laying the small number, which I don't like to do in a game here that I think UConn needs a heck of a lot more. This one's up to you. There's 2 schools of thought here that I think you have to consider. I'm going to teach you how to fish, and I'm going to let you make the choice. Do I think that Duquesne has turned it around? I like this Duquesne team. Early in the year, I was huge on them. They were scalding hot. They were 7-1, and then they sort of struggled, but they seem to have gotten things right. Rhode Island home win. VCU home win. Richmond away, lost by 2 in a tough game. They played well. It's a tough place to play, Richmond. St. Joe's away, they won by 12. Now they travel to St. Bonaventure. Very difficult to win at St. Bonaventure. But St. Bonaventure here has lost 6 of their last 9. They beat UMass at home, who's very up and down, had personnel problems. George Mason was a battle. We got that covered, but it was very, very tough. They are shooting 34% from three-point range, and they rely on those three-point shots. But Duquesne is good on offense, and Keith Dambro believes in this team. They are 3-2 in the A-10, but this is an A-10 that's a little wide open. Dayton, again, has not been as dominant. They didn't cover last night against Davidson. I think it's a bad job by them. VCU, St. Louis missing some players. Hopefully get them back tonight. I think Duquesne can make a run in the A-10 tournament. I believe in Duquesne. I am leaning with Duquesne, even at St. Bonaventure, in a very tough place to play. This will tell us what we need to know about Duquesne this year. Are they a team that's just going to be up and down, that's going to be helter-skelter, hit some threes, terrible? Or are they going to be a team that can make the A-10 run under Keith Dambro, a veteran, old-school, hard-nosed type of coach? I believe in Duquesne. I think it's a tough spot. This is not one of my top plays because I do not like laying points on the road. But I think in this spot, Duquesne can find a way to get it home. And if they do, I think they're a team that can be very, very dangerous here in the A-10. They can make threes. They're lengthy. They defend. And they have a run coming up. Fordham, Loyola Chicago, UMass, G-Dub, George Mason. They can make a run here, and they have visions of an A-10 title. I think Duquesne gets this job done, but I have to admit, it's a little frisky. This is one here that's a play at FTN. Myself, Mike Kutcher, were on this game. The comparison I will use for TCU getting 2.5 against West Virginia is the following. The argument for West Virginia is it's Bob Huggins. He's got to right the ship. It's time to get things going. This is it. I didn't buy that. That was all the same arguments we had last night for Texas Tech against Baylor, and they got buried. Texas Tech 0-6 in the conference, just not playing well. West Virginia now back against the wall. Lost 5 in a row. They're playing TCU. They lost to Kansas State away after being up 17-3. Lost to Oak State away. Kansas, Baylor, Oklahoma. They're struggling, but they're giving up big points as well. Their defense for West Virginia is not where it normally is. Now here comes TCU under Jamie Dixon. Big win at home over Kansas State. Played really well. They lost to Iowa State and Texas back-to-back games. They don't shoot great from 3, but lately they've been better. They also defend well. They also they force turnovers, and they don't turn the ball over themselves. The argument here and the money is going on West Virginia. We like TCU here, plus 2.5. I think that this idea that teams rally and they're due is false. If that was the case, Texas Tech was due last night. We were on Baylor. It was the right side. It was also a comfortable cover throughout the entire second half. Not crazy about this one either. Ohio State, Nebraska. Nebraska has been bleeding and has not played well of late, but 6 points on the road is always tricky. I just don't feel great about it. People have asked me about this game. Ohio State has been up and down, but they've had some injury trouble. They've lost 4 games in a row. They're now going to Nebraska. They need a win here badly. They need a win in the worst way. Talented group, bright sensible is going to be a lottery pick next year. Laying points on the road, never easy. Purdue destroyed Nebraska at home. Illinois, they got killed at home by 20. They lost, on the road to Purdue by a big number. If I had to pick here, I lean Ohio State because I think Ohio State is the better coach team. I think they have more talent, and then I think they have playmakers. I think they get the job done on the road. They are 2-4, and they are desperate and need a win. Zed Key is back. I don't like laying this 5-6 number on the road in conference games. I've told you about that. We had someone who follows us here told us about 57% in that situation on the road over the last few years, but I'm going to lay the number here, 6 points on the road. Let's get a couple questions here. We got Taylor. Taylor, thanks so much for watching the show. Of course, TCU tough as nails. I got him at +3. I get why the money's in West Virginia, but I'm with you. I love this Frogs team. Taylor, I agree. I think it's a situation like last night. We were on Baylor. Baylor's a well-coached team. TCU's a well-coached team. This is their year. Eddie Lampkin inside, Mike Miles. I agree. I get why the Pets are going there, but I am not going there in my opinion. Here's another one. You know we're fading Loyola Chicago, and we faded them all year. This is a lot of points for a team that, it's a St. Louis team that's up and down, and I do not know what the status is with point guard play because Yuri Collins has been out, but he did travel with the team, and he is listed as day-to-day. Now, if Yuri Collins plays in this game, I think this is going to be a comfortable St. Louis win. They're going on the road to Loyola Chicago. Loyola Chicago is not anywhere close to Loyola Chicago. We know they don't shoot threes well. They're good from inside the arc, but they're terrible from the free throw line, and they are the second worst team in the country, Loyola Chicago, at turnovers. Second worst per KenPom defensive turnover percentage. St. Louis has had to shuffle their lineup without Collins out, and it's actually done pretty well in the last game, which was a nice one on the road at George Washington. You had Larry Hughes, who did some nice jobs at point guard. You had Okoro there. You had Pickett, who played well. He had 4 assists. He also had 24 points. Pickett finally getting going here. Javonte Perkins, 27 points. So what happened is they took Collins out because of the injury, and this team has started to play better. I believe in St. Louis. I like them early in the year. I think they can be very dangerous. I am going in this situation. I am going with St. Louis, and I am actually laying the points on the road here against Loyola Chicago because I don't trust Loyola Chicago. The only thing you can say to me about Loyola Chicago, which I'm still laughing about, is that somehow they found a way earlier in the season, Loyola Chicago, despite all their struggles, despite a 6-game losing streak, Loyola Chicago actually early in the year beat Clemson by 18 points. So when they get scalding hot, that's fine, but it just hasn't happened enough. I think turnovers against a St. Louis team is too much. And if Collins somehow plays, I think you're getting a couple points of value in this spot. Revenge spot here with Florida and Texas A&M. They played a little while ago, and I'm keeping an eye on this Florida team because I believe in Todd Golden. I like what Todd Golden does. I think it took him a while to get things right, but don't look now. Florida has now won 3 in a row. Georgia home, LSU away, Missouri home. They've won those 3 games in a row. They have struggled, but they're starting to get better, and Golden is a real solid coach. Now, prior to that, they played Texas A&M at home on January 4th. They lost a close game, 66-63. In the second matchups, flip-flop with the line, I always like taking the points with the team that's lost. I think this is a very close game. Colin Castleton, I think, shows up. I think they play tough. And you know that Texas A&M can have struggles on offense. They're solid on defense. They're solid on rebounding. But I like the momentum play, like we talked about, that has been going on with Florida. They are hot. I believe in Golden. I knew he was going to get it right. And I think we're starting to buy low here on a Florida team that's going to get better. There's a lot of talent in this Florida team, and Castleton inside can be a handful. So let's get a rebound, a revenge spot here for Florida, taking the points at Texas A&M. This line has dropped precipitously. Virginia Tech +5. Virginia. This was 7.5 yesterday, and I am buying Virginia Tech in this spot. I think Virginia Tech really has disappointed only because of the injuries that have occurred to them. They have been without Hunter Couture and have struggled. BC, he went out. If he stays in that game, they win that game, and they're 2-0 in the ACC. But he goes out. Then they go on the road against a good Wake Forest team who you saw beat Clemson last night, and they end up losing by 2 in a close battle. Then they play Clemson, good Clemson team at home, and they lose to them by 3. NC State at home was scalding hot, lost to them by 4. Again, all without Couture, and then they bombed against Syracuse away, losing by 10. Couture is back. You have a Mike Young team that is going to run great offense, and these games are usually close with Virginia. Even going back to the Buzz Williams year, this is a rivalry game. It was at 7. I loved it there. It's down to 5. I'm still taking it. As much as I love Virginia, I think Virginia Tech, they know they need this game. You can't beat Virginia Tech in any way, shape, or form thinking that if you're going to enter the NCAA tournament, you can't be 1-6 in the ACC. You can be 2-5 because you can get back to 500 and then find your way in as a 12 or 11 spot. You're going to get Virginia Tech's absolute best effort here. And when I have a team that's well coached and desperate, I'm going to take them every single time. Give me Virginia Tech, even at 5. I wouldn't go lower than 5, but even at 5, and I got it at 7. I was happy with that. Momentum, momentum, momentum. Look at what Lafayette has done lately. Lafayette was the butt of all jokes earlier in the year, but look at what Lafayette's done. They started the year 1-11, but then they went away at LaSalle. Then they played tough games, American home, Army home. But after that, BU away, they go to overtime. Bucknell, they win at home in overtime. Navy away, good Navy team, they win by 9. Holy Cross home, they win by 14. They are playing much better Lafayette, and I have no reason why I should be getting 5.5 points on the road at American. It's not like American is some hotbed of place that it's tough to play. I like what's going on here with Lafayette. This is a momentum play. This number has also dropped. American has lost 2 straight games. Army and Lehigh. Lehigh loss was horrific, losing by 16 away. You want to say a bounce back, that's fine. I think the first 5 minutes tells us a lot here. If Lafayette is able to keep it close and doesn't let American go nuts, so they can shoot from 3-point range, they can make a lot of stuff inside, I think we have a chance. But American also turns the ball over a ton. You saw that early in the year against Georgetown. I'm going with the momentum here. I'm going with a Lafayette team that is hot, that is playing better, even though they were catastrophically dead in the water. Lately, they've been playing better. And if you look at the bets and money, the number is absolutely coming down. Make sure to get those comments in if you have any questions. Next game up I want to get to here, Chattanooga and Furman. A lot of people on Furman tonight. I am not impressed with what Furman has done so far this year. I think they look a little bit lost. They rely on the three-pointer a tremendous amount, generating almost 38% of their points from three-point range under Bob Ritchie. But I like this Chattanooga team. They can shoot it with Dan Earl. Dan Earl has taken over this program now. First year he's taken it over. They've done very well. They just lost a 1-point game away at Samford. Had they not lost that game, they would have won 4 of 5. They have battled. They have been great at home. What have they done at home so far this year? They beat Murray State at home. They beat Milwaukee at home, putting 88 points up. They played Belmont, obviously very difficult, lost that game in overtime at home. VMI at home put up 85. Western Carolina at home put up 95 and won by 20 points. This is a big battle for Chattanooga, and I like them at home because they've been more consistent. They're better inside the arc. They're efficient on offense. Now, listen, Furman can shoot it. Neither team is really fantastic at defending the three-pointer, and Furman can shoot it, but I don't like what I've seen from Furman this year. I think they're a step off. So I am going in this game with Chattanooga, and I'm laying the small number there at home. Interesting game here. Again, desperation and momentum. 2 things that I think very highly of. Indiana State and Bradley. Bradley at home, is a buzzsaw. I put that out on Twitter, got a lot of reaction. Bradley at home can dominate you. Beat Valpo by 22 points. Beat Evansville by almost 40 points. But then they go on the road and they lose to Drake by 25 points. Terrible loss. Murray State away, they lost by 9. They're very inconsistent, and you have an Indiana State team that is number 1 in the country at efficiency inside the arc. They do a great job on the interior. They play very well. You have players inside on them that are strong with tough rebounding. McCauley is fantastic, 17 points, 11 rebounds in the win over Illinois Chicago. I like Indiana State here. Indiana State was 6-0. They were playing great ball in the Missouri Valley, and then they lost home to Southern Illinois, and they lost away to Missouri State. I think this is a bounce-back spot. Bradley home versus Bradley away. Indiana State, always tough at home, the Sycamores. I don't like Bradley on the road. I am taking Indiana State laying 2 points. It's a lot of points for Temple to cover. You with me? A lot of points for Temple to cover. East Carolina, and I understand East Carolina dealing with some injuries, but Temple laying that amount of points at home, very, very questionable. They did beat Cincinnati by 9, but this is a team that is not great from three-point range, Temple. They grind you on defense, but they don't force a lot of turnovers. They play solid defense, Temple, under Aaron McKee, but they don't force a plethora of turnovers. Now here comes East Carolina, has lost 4 of 5, and I understand that they're dealing with some injuries and they have some players out. But I do think in this case, coming off a tough South Florida game, even though they didn't have a full lineup, I just think it's too many points. Sometimes when you see a key player like Small who is out, the team rallies. This pick to me, as soon as I saw it, I went by my gut. I go, that is too many points for Temple to cover at home. East Carolina battles. They're good inside of conference. They usually keep the games close. If you look at East Carolina's schedule and what they've done so far, they played Temple at home. They only lost by 2 points. Wichita State away, they actually won by 10 points, which is a nice win. Shockers team on the road. UCF 3. Memphis was close till it was late. And then South Florida, Cincinnati was a blowout. But I just think it's too many points. Not one of my top plays, but I do think that if you get this to 10 points, Temple's got to cover 10 points. I think they struggle to do that against anyone, no problem. You know, I understand Louisville's been playing better ball, but this Pittsburgh team thinks they can win the ACC. And if you look at the top of the ACC, it is actually possible. Pittsburgh, 5-2 in conference. They're tied with Virginia. They're half game behind Wake Forest, half game behind Miami, and they're excited now because Clemson lost. Louisville has not been fantastic this year. They've been brutal against the spread. They've had some moments where they get better, but this is a physical Pittsburgh team, and I just don't see how Louisville is going to be able to cover this at home. They're going to have to get tough against Pittsburgh. It's not something that's in their DNA this year. They're only 6-12 against the spread, Louisville. They were covering for a while. NC State, Kentucky, Syracuse, Wake, Clemson by coming back late. North Carolina, they got the doors blown off, and now here comes Pittsburgh, a physical Pittsburgh team under Jeff Capel that honestly thinks they can make a run. Pittsburgh at one point had covered 10 straight games, and now they didn't cover against Clemson, but then they covered against Duke, and they covered against Georgia Tech. I like this Pittsburgh team. I'm not backing Louisville. I know they've been better. They covered by a half point at Kentucky. Do with that as you will. But Pittsburgh's physicality, they're shooting from the outside in Capel. I think they get it done here. To me, this is a close halftime game, and Pittsburgh pulls away at the end, almost similar to a Kentucky-Georgia game. So it's not one of my top plays because we're looking for ones that are going to be comfortable covers. But I do think in this situation, Pittsburgh is too solid defensively. They're going to limit L. Ellis to a certain extent, and then Louisville has no answers on offense. So we will lay the points there. Couple other games that we will get to. One that I really like here, I have faded Wofford all year long. And this Western Carolina team to me is legit. I like Western Carolina. They are home. It is a tough battle for these teams when they end up going on the road. And Wofford, again, similar last night to our situation that we have when you have a team like Texas without an identity. Wofford is a team that normally is great from three-point range. Wofford is a team that is normally solid defensively and can do both things a little bit well. They are one of the worst teams in the country, Wofford, at defending inside the arc. They are one of the worst teams in three-point shooting. And Western Carolina is coming off a battle against Chattanooga. Really tough, mention them. Lost at Citadel by 4. No shame in that. Very close, but they beat Furman at home. They beat East Tennessee State away. They beat Mercer at home by almost 30 points. I like Western Carolina. I like what Justin Gray is doing. This team is great on the defensive boards. It's one and done. So you're going to have a team here in Wofford who can't shoot the three, and a team in Western Carolina who's going to be able to limit them to one and done. Like both of those situations, which is why Western Carolina, one of my favorite plays, that classic, the team at home getting a couple points in a conference game against a team on the road that I think is overinflated, and that's what we have. A couple other ones we will talk about. Hard for me to see Xavier slowing down against DePaul. Xavier has been super impressive. They don't have a huge bench, but Sule Boom as the point guard from UTEP who transferred just makes everything fine. They got the cover by a half point on us in the last game with a solid performance because Boom doesn't miss free throws. They're great inside. Jack Nungy doesn't foul. They're well coached. They're playing a great system. It's a lot of points on the road, but I can't see DePaul doing this. DePaul, congratulations, win over Villanova. That was nice. Tony Stubblefield, fine. Xavier, 8.5 points. It's not enough for me. I'm not taking it. Game of the night. I just want to sit back and enjoy this one, folks. I like Marquette, and I think Marquette is playing so well, and their chemistry is so great under Shaka Smart here. Marquette 6-2 in the conference, half game behind Providence. This is a big, big game. I like what they're doing. They are number 2 in the country behind Indiana State at interior 2-point efficiency inside the arc. They are so great on offense. They battled that tough game against Marquette on the road and lost, but prior to that, Seton Hall at home, comfortable win. Villanova away, big win. 96 points, big second half against St. John's win. Georgetown destroyed. UConn at home, they won by 6. Providence has had some battles here. Providence early on was good, but they're lately. Marquette, they played to 2 overtimes. It was a classic game that happened about 3 weeks ago. Marquette lost in 2 overtimes at Providence. Love the revenge spot. The number's a little high. I get that. And they did cover if you got a 6.5 against Creighton on the road, but they're going on the road to Creighton, now on the road to Marquette. Those are tough, tough backups here, like the revenge spot, going with Marquette and laying the number. Oklahoma's been playing a better ball, and I like Oklahoma, and I like them in a rivalry game. You're on a rivalry game here, and people are underestimating Oklahoma, a team no one thought was going to be good. Oklahoma, Texas at home, they lose by 1. Iowa State, they lose by 3 at home. On the road, they get a big victory in overtime at Texas Tech. Kansas, they were in that game as a 10-point spread. They covered that one as well. And West Virginia got a big win when West Virginia needed it. Remember, ties into our earlier pick. West Virginia needed a lot of games lately, and they haven't been able to get it. So I'm not sure why coming home against TCU is going to be the one that's going to get them over there. I like this Oklahoma team. Porter Moser, brilliant coach coming over Florida, Chicago. They're shooting 37% from three-point range. They're holding opponents to 28% from beyond the arc. They play defense. They rebound the ball. They're physical inside with the Groves brothers. You have a situation here with Oklahoma. Grant Sherfield has been lights out as their elite scorer. He brings the ball up. He runs great stuff. Jacob and Tanner Groves, the big guys inside, also know their job. Oklahoma, better coach team in this situation, has been playing well. Will love to take the points here with Oklahoma, another pick that I really, really like. Couple more, and then we will send you on your way. Oregon minus 7.5 against California. If you did not notice this, for those people on the East Coast that sometimes don't pay attention to late games, Oregon was in absolute free fall. And what Dana Altman did was he changed up his lineup. They got destroyed by Arizona State by 17. He said changes have to be made. What happened after that? They come out and beat Arizona by 19 points at home, scalding hot. Jermaine Cousinard, who transferred from South Carolina, did a nice job for Frank Martin, 27 points, 6 of 9 from three-point range. Will Richardson seemed relieved to have some help there on offense. Dante inside, 22 points, the big man. This, again, is a momentum play that I think is very, very important. California does not look good to me at all. Oregon, now on the road after getting hot in some lineup changes. I don't think they go backwards. You saw Kentucky, even without Severe Wheeler, be able to pull away and cover against Georgia. Oregon, big changes, have done a nice job. I like this play late night. We'll see how we do early. Maybe we get some extra money here late against this California team who I think is dead in the water. I like Oregon in this spot, similar to Creighton at Butler last night. And I think we covered all. Last one I will get to here, folks. I like Radford versus Campbell. When you have a situation like Radford at home, I think they're very good. Radford is a disciplined team that plays with purpose and plays slow. And if you look at momentum with them as well in the Big South, they've been very solid. They have won 4 of their last 5. They're great from three-point range. They're great at forcing turnovers on defense, and that's going to be perfect against a Campbell team that gives the ball away, that doesn't defend inside the arc, and Campbell is not great from the free throw line. Campbell is 2-4 in conference, but they have actually lost 6 of their last 8 games. I like this Radford team. They are disciplined. They've played very well. They battled Kansas State away, which shows you how good they are. That is never an easy game. They beat Army by 15 on a neutral. They play with purpose, and if they get up on you, they are impossible to come back on. You have a coach in Darius Nichols, who's in his 2nd season and has done very well there. Radford, when I have to lay a small number, I am fine with it. In this case, we are going with Radford. laying that small amount. So just to recap, folks, get through here, get you out of here on time. Oregon laying 7.5 against California. The lineup has jumbled. They had a big win over Arizona. I think there's momentum here. I don't see California hanging around this game at all. The Groves brothers and Cambridge are hot. They're also well coached. Musa Cisse, I don't know what his status is. Is he going to play? Is he going to be effective? You saw Oklahoma State struggle at home against Texas, who, again, I'm not high on. Oklahoma getting 3, even like it as a money line play. Big battle here. Marquette at home. Fiserv form is going to be jumping. Marquette wants payback from the 2 overtime loss at Providence. Providence playing well, but maybe a little regression coming back here for Ed Cooley's group. Fantastic job by Providence. This is a big number, but Marquette is that good, especially inside the arc, over 60%. It's a high number. I don't see DePaul covering this game. I don't see why Xavier is going to get tripped up here when they weren't tripped up against Creighton. They weren't tripped up against Marquette. I get that it's a high number and you want to stay away. I'm going to put some down on Xavier. One of my favorite games, Western Carolina against 2.5 against Wofford. I still think Wofford is overinflated in the market. Western Carolina is home. Wofford has not been great against the spread. They don't shoot threes well. Western Carolina at home has had some big performances. I like them here. Radford against Campbell for all the reasons I just mentioned. They're a good, disciplined team. When they get up, they're impossible to come back on. They make their shots inside the arc. They rebound the ball well defensively, and they make their free throws. Pittsburgh minus 9.5. I just don't see the reason. Louisville will give you a half of a game. They rarely give you a full game. North Carolina, who couldn't even cover for us against Boston College last night, was able to pull away late. I'm going with Pittsburgh minus 9.5 there. I understand that Small's out. If he somehow comes back, that'd be great. I don't think he's playing. East Carolina getting 10 points at Temple. I just don't think Temple can win by 10 points at home. I don't. Not with the way they play, not with their struggles from three-point range. They like to grind it out, but East Carolina comes and makes some shots early. This is going to be a competitive conference game. Bradley at home, Bradley on the road. Indiana State coming off of 2 losses. They need this game. I'll take Indiana State and their offense at home. Always tough. Don't believe in Furman. Don't like it. I understand they're well coached. They're a veteran team, but this Chattanooga team loves to shoot from threes. Number 1 in the country in three-point percentage against their total amount of field goal attempts. They're number 1. Love it. Momentum play with Lafayette. No one's betting on Lafayette tonight, but Lafayette has been playing very well lately. 5.5 at American. I'll take it as well. This one, be careful because the line is dropping quickly. I loved it at 7. Hunter Couture is back tonight for Virginia Tech. They need this game badly. They want to make the NCAA tournament. They were solid at the beginning of the year, but the injuries have hurt them. I think you get a good effort from them tonight. 5.5 is fine. Anything less than that, I would stay away. Florida in a payback spot against Texas A&M, playing much better. Todd Golden, Castleton playing better. They're starting to get things going here. Texas A&M can struggle on offense. I'll take the points in a payback spot. Be careful with this with St. Louis on the road against Loyola Chicago, but I don't like Loyola Chicago. I have faded them all year unless they're scalding hot from 3. If they come out smoking hot from 3, I can understand why you'll go that way. Yuri Collins, will he play? They've been almost better without him because other players are being asked to do more. Collins comes back tonight, should be a little boost. I think it's a close game, but I think St. Louis pulls ahead and wins this game by about 8 or 9. Careful with this one. I lean Ohio State. They're going to need this win badly after several in a row. Nebraska can be tough at home. They were tough against Purdue, but then they can flake out and be terrible. In this spot, I lean Ohio State, but it's not one of my favorite plays. Mike Cucci and I are on this game. I know West Virginia back against the wall, just like last night, Texas Tech. No way. TCU on the road, better team. Mike Miles, great shot maker. Getting 2.5 points. You get to 3 maybe. That's fine. I'll take that. Be careful with Duquesne against St. Bonaventure. I've been burned by Duquesne. I loved them early, and they ended up burning me. And then I was against them, and they're doing better. I like them. I think they find a way to get this one through, but St. Bonaventure is very tough at home. It's just the 1.5 number. I think they find a way to get through because I still think this Duquesne team can win the A-10 tournament. Veteran team, Keith Dambro, really solid coach. Like them there. Laying the points with UConn on the road. I think UConn's a better team. I think Seton Hall can be terrible on offense. I'm sure they'll come out fired up, and I think UConn will physical with them. Shaheen Holloway's teams are going to play defense, but UConn has no problem playing that style. I like UConn to pull ahead and win here. UMBC has been scalding hot. UMass Lowell has been trouble covering. They did have their big win over Vermont at home, but UMBC's defense has been up to the task, and they've been playing well. This number is dropping, was at 5.5. And Army -5.5. Rucker, the point guard, has been fantastic. Bucknell did not cover 9 straight games, and then they covered against Colgate. Now they're going to come out against Army. Like I said, sleepy spot maybe because Navy's on the horizon for the Army-Navy battle. I don't think so, though. At home, I think they find a way to get this done. Couple other comments here. Adam, I appreciate you, sir. Thank you for joining us. And then classic, don't overthink it play with Pitt Louisville. One team is good, one team is very bad. Lay it, Taylor, that's what we're doing, man. We're rolling with it here. Guys, thank you so much. We'll be back on Saturday. Please hit like and subscribe and tell a friend. We'll be back on Saturday for a massive slate here. College basketball, FTN. Follow us, like, subscribe. The Discord is hopping. We have plays going up right away. Thank you so much for joining us, folks. We will see you on Saturday morning at 11.